Buenos días a todos. Bienvenidos a la sesión, al panel sobre trazabilidad. Mi nombre es Ignacio Antequera, soy el director de Ventas y Relaciones en GlobalG.A.P y el moderador para esta mesa. La sesión va a ser en inglés porque pues, queríamos tener expertos internacionales que dieran su punto de vista, así que me voy a pasar al inglés ahora, después de la presentación, para presentar también al resto de los panelistas. So, as an introduction also for the topic, I think traceability is something that we all experience in our daily lives, sometimes even not noticing about it. Who has not been in the parking, the supermarket, at the mall, one day walking with the shopping cart looking for the spot where you left the car? Sometimes you forget where you have left it. How can we find it? Because someone had a great idea of putting different colors for different levels of the parking, putting letters and numbers so you could identify where you left the car. Or when if you travel, perhaps sometimes your luggage has got lost. And how can the airlines find, again, that luggage? Because they put tags on the suitcase, on the baggage, and then you can identify who the luggage belongs to. So we are living traceability. And here we have a group of experts that will tell us more about how traceability is implemented in the food supply chain. We have, first, to my right, Javier Les from Navarra. Javier is an agricultural engineer who has been working with Florette since basically he finished his studies in 1998. Javier has worked for 20 years at the production, gaining deep knowledge in everything related to agricultural activity. And for the last 6 years, Javier is Director of Quality, Sustainability and Innovation at Florette Iberia, covering the farming and the industrial activities of the company. Next to Javier, we have Julian Rioja from Planasa. Julian holds currently the position of Director of Sales for Iberia and Africa at Planasa Group, who is a leading company in the agri-food sector specializing in plant variety research and nursery within the berry category, with a strong presence across 5 continents. Julian is very knowledgeable in agriculture and technology and knows business as well. He is himself an industrial engineer, agronomic engineer, and obtained an MBA from the Camilo José Cela University. Then next to Julian, we have David Leiño, who works with BASF. David is head of the commercial and digital excellence for BASF Agricultural Solutions in Spain. Amongst his responsibilities, David works in the digital agriculture business with a tool called AgriGenio, which provides the food value chain with decision-making support and environmental impact solutions. Before doing this, David was responsible for business development, strategy, and innovation for BASF Group companies in Italy, Russia, and Germany. Very international. And last but not least, we have Georgiana Hayes, who is executive consultant for CropLife Europe. She runs projects globally to harmonize digital platforms and precision agricultural technologies. Georgiana has 2 strategic roles at CropLife Europe. She is the vice chair of CropLife Europe flagship project, digital label compliance, and within this project, you lead the workstream for change and transformation. So we have a panel that covers different aspects of the agriculture and the supply chain. And I would like to start, as I was talking about how we as consumers experience traceability with Javier. Because, well, Javier, you've been working with Florette for many years, and now more recently as Director of Quality, Sustainability and Innovation, you have gained more knowledge and deeper knowledge on the market and consumer trends. Also, your salad bags have very beautiful designs, very attractive, and they are very recognizable by the consumers. And my first question to you would be, do you think consumers are interested about traceability, about the origin of the products? Is there something that they have you seen some trend like this?
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, I work in Florette, that is a ready-to-eat salad company. And Ignacio, for me, I think the consumer is very important to know about traceability. No? We do food. We must be transparent with the consumer. It's an obligation legal, but it's an ethical for our companies. For food industry, it's very, very important to give transparency to the consumer. For example, we work with more than 60 different crops, more than 200 references per day. We sell more than 40,000 shops every day. And for us, it's very, very, very important to be a very good system, very strong system in traceability. And all the information that you can transmit to the consumer is good for them. And each time the consumer wants to know more about the origin of the product, the water that you spend, where do you have grown the salads, where do you have elaborated them, the transport, the footprint, all of the life of the salad. I think it's very interesting for the consumer.
Okay. In one of the products that you sell, these salad bags that you mix different products, they are processed like Cuarta Gama, and you mix different products from different origins as well. Do you think that traceability in those situations presents more challenges, is more complex than in other scenarios? And how you handle this?
Okay. Yes, because, for example, the growing cycle is large, 2, 3, 4 months. But when we do the salad in the industrial side, the sale life is 1 week. And you have to have a very, very precise information to have all the information of the crop. We have an ERP system in the field that we developed with a Spanish company, Spatec, that is here. And in the factory, we control the traceability with Microsoft 365 adapted to us. And we must control all the stages of the salad.
Okay, thank you very much, Javier. Well, interesting to see the complexity that you deal with, all these different types of products and the different ways of supply chain that you have to service. Julian, you at Planasa work with berries and endives, I see. You sell the products fresh, right?
Well, Planasa, let's say that first, thanks for inviting Planasa to be here. We are a complex company, as we are doing that many things that is difficult really to classify us, but which is our core business right now is, as you said before, it's genetics for berries. So what we are doing is berry breeding. Then endives is part of the fresh produce that we are selling, but really our focus is breeding, and we are really, let's say, on the beginning of the food chain, right? As my colleague here, they are Florette, they are at the end, we can say. We are really in the beginning, as what we are doing is really select the new varieties or bring into the market the new varieties to really fulfill the customer's expectations, right? Like he said, cell life is very important, like flavor, different factors. For that, breeding, it's really a very complex matter. Bringing a new variety to the market takes around 8 to 10 years. So it's very complex really to arrive and to really understand what will be the future business of the market, right? Said that, how we work, really, for us, traceability is very important. It's a key, as you can imagine, to get a new variety, we do like 10,000 crosses between different parental plants, which allow us really to bring cell life, to bring flavor. So all of that, we have a great traceability system to make sure that we are doing really the crosses in a proper way. So
yeah, so it's good because we saw that part of the production, but production doesn't always start by when you plant the plant on the soil, but in your case it starts in the laboratory doing research and exactly. Development. And it's interesting to see how that opens a whole new door of, I don't know what the saying complexity is, but needs, certainly needs for having traceability, no? Because without traceability, that research process, you lose all those aspects you're mentioning, colors, flavors, things that you need to have deep traceability there. As an obtention company, sometimes I hear in my work about the problems with illegal propagation and so on. How does traceability, or what role does traceability play in that aspect?
It's also critical, you know. Firstly, we also produce our own plants. So once we, let's say, develop a new variety, we make sure that the genetics are in the proper way, and we try to deliver the producers to the farmers or different, the best quality plants, right? And traceability is key because the black market exists. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that we make sure that our varieties are our varieties is to really have a very, how to say, a very well-controlled software that allow us to understand and to know where are all of our plants. Mm-hmm. So we don't stop really in the breeding. We really have a system that we know each licensee or each farmer where they are, how many plants, which varieties, in which countries. We are not a producer, but mm-hmm. we know where they are just because we want to make sure that when the farmer or the licensee use our brands, our variety names, are using a proper variety names, right. And not using the black market. So it's very important, yeah. And right. Traceability really plays a critical aspect. I bring this, you know, just to show that all of that numbers or all of that codes are exactly like this: which variety, in which plot, in which product line, in which transport system. So we can go back and know everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking to you earlier on, we discussed that well, you do have commercial agreements with the supermarkets on a specific variety. So for you and for them, it is very important also to know that what they buy is your authentic product, no? With the characteristics that we have been exactly. Developing for all these 10 to 12 years in your own research centers.
Yeah, exactly. So we work also with the supermarkets like UK supermarkets and German supermarkets, Spanish, whatever, and we give them the list of authorized, let me say, licensees or producers, so they know that exactly what they are purchasing. It's our varieties and bring into the market to the consumer, which at the end is the target, bring into the consumer the best quality fruit in or vegetables in our case. That's the final target. And that's really, like we said, no, it's trying to really put together all the pieces of the puzzle to make sure that the consumer is really protected and really having the things that they are purchasing, right? So.
Okay. And one last question for you. As you were showing the package and you were talking about traceability, I saw a QR code there, and we were talking earlier on with Javier about the information for consumers and how can traceability play a role in delivering that information that consumers are interested in learning. What does the QR code do?
Yeah, we on that QR code that we develop, it brings to a website that the consumer can, let's see, like recipes and these kind of things that are a little bit more fun, but also where the plant has been produced, in which week, which kind of certificates we have as Planasa, so they can see all, let me say, all transparent information, because for Planasa really being transparent is part of our core. Mm-hmm. And it's not only, let me say, it's having the consumer or giving the consumer as much information as possible. That's our let me say, key. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julian. David, it's your turn. BASF offers seeds, plant protection products, and also technological solutions. That's your role, no? You are with Agrigenio, is the tool that I mentioned in your introduction, the tool that helps collecting data through sensors and other sources of information, and then generates reports and information that helps producers make decisions later on, right? Tell us a bit about this Agrigenio tool and what role traceability plays in it.
Certainly. Yeah, first of all, thanks for the invitation. Really happy to share this roundtable with you guys, and also to see that the product is still fresh. Yeah, so I'm seeing it from here, and I can tell you that's the case. So you were introducing that aspect. BASF is not only a crop protection product company, it's actually bringing solutions, right? So sometimes those are fungicides, pesticides in general, but sometimes there are nunems, vegetable seeds, right? Or digital and sustainability-driven solutions. And that's one of the cases that I would like to describe today. So in that spirit of bringing solutions to the market, we have Agrigenio and You Sustain. Already the keyword is telling you something, right? So You Sustain, it has to do something with sustainability. What we do with this module within our digital offering is to enable a wide variety of food value chain partners. Yeah, and here I'm talking about brand owners in processed tomato, like Muti, the Italian brand probably you're familiar with, or Kagome from Japan, to make sure that traceability and transparency, that's why I also like from the comments of the colleagues before, is there. And we are not doing that for the sake of doing it. It's actually because of the end customer or the end consumer. Yeah? So everybody who is here, when we go to the supermarket, we ask for that, right? So we really want to have that ID card, so to say, of the products to try to understand how much chemical exposure did the product have, what was the original genetical variety, and what happened, right, from the point of cultivation or production to the point at which you see it in the shelf. So this is what we do. I told you about big brands, but we also go to the farmer level, yeah, and the processor level. And why is that? Because once again, you need transparency from end to end. Yeah? So it's not enough to see what's happening really in the beginning of the food value chain. You need to capture all of the information there. I hope I tried to summarize a bit the complexity of digital and sustainability here.
Yeah, you made a good connection, because now more and more people are interested in sustainability. It's not a new thing anymore now. And the same as for traceability. We live sustainability from the very first moment in the day when we at home segregate the residues in different bins, right? So that's part of the sustainability. How do you think that traceability can help in for example, with the ESGs, the sustainability goals, in achieving them and also demonstrating, helping show that they are being implemented?
That's a very fair point, because the same way there is a lot about sustainability conversations, we hear a lot about greenwashing, and I think you really hit the jackpot on that one. So when we talk about traceability, it's not about making publicity out of it. You need to measure it. You need to capture that, and you need to bring it to an ESG report. I trust all of you are familiar with that, but just in case I will repeat what's that. It has to do with environmental, societal, and governance topics in the way companies act. Yeah? So it's not only about the P&L or the financial performance, but actually the societal impact here. And shareholders bonify or gratify big companies for being sustainable, because at the end of the day, this is the long-run game. But also, just for your information, end consumers like us are willing to pay above 10% of a premium in pricing, yeah, for every single sustainability-driven or created product. So we're capable of doing that. Yeah, I told you about Muti, Kagome, but also, if you like beer, you will know Peroni, maybe, Heineken, right? So all of these brands work with us to really do that, right? So to really showcase that what happened in their operations is not greenwashing, it's actually like a financial report of the sustainability statement. And here I also want to bring another piece of information. So big brands and companies like the ones that we are discussing here, sometimes they also give a premium to producers who follow certain protocols, right? So who are capable of capturing what's happening, again, in this end-to-end environment. And it's a win-win modus operandi, but it is also true that it's so resource intensive, yeah? So to really put it in the ESG proper way of doing things, it requires a lot of consultancy, data analytics, and continuous support to customers, right? So here we're in the provider side, yeah? So we do consulting and we offer these services to customers, but we dedicate full-time employees to that, right? So some of the big brands we have, we dedicate one person just to do that. It takes a lot of time. And if somebody, and here I put, as we say in Spanish, the hand on the fire. If somebody tells you that capturing sustainability is easy, don't trust that one. Yeah, move to the next provider because it's so resource intensive.
Yeah, well, in sustainability, that's a big topic. First on trying to find common definitions that can be agreed both by the different players. But one very important part, at the end you said it, is about communicating also the efforts that companies do. No? Everyone doing efforts in implementing sustainability, they do it first for themselves, but also for the recognition. You said that sometimes they get premium prices. They could obtain premium prices for the implementation of those practices. But it's important to collect the data, and it's important to be able to demonstrate that they belong to you. And the traceability is very important there. Doing some research on Agrigenio, not a deep one, I saw that you have, I think, solutions for grapes and olives. And thinking on traceability, I was thinking, do you believe that in traceability is it necessary to have different traceability systems for every product, or it depends more on the supply chain, how the supply chain is structured?
I think it's a combination of two parameters. One is the food value chain or the supply chain you're mentioning, yeah, because also let's say the shelf lifetime at the end of the day is king, yeah, and that has a lot of repercussions. And the other element is the crop type, right? So we spoke about genetical varieties. I can tell you, so we have for Agrigenio or Agrigenio, we have for processed tomato, fresh tomato, wine grape, table grape, barley, cereals in general. But just to give you an idea, within wine grape, we have over 150 varieties. Yeah? In processed tomato, it's the same case. In new developments we will launch, it's actually the same case. So the key word from our point of view is customization. Yeah? And how do you do that? With the transparency you mentioned, the supply chain, and also the type of crop. The way and the needs that cereal producers, right, or pasta producers, I can give you this example, are related to protein. Yeah? So the degree of protein that we are capable of capturing in the raw material, while more fruits and veggies companies tend to try to optimize the Brix degrees. But again, that's a derivative of the type of crop, right? So I think it's a combination of these two. It's also fair to say that we're learning, yeah? So, and if anybody has found already the Holy Grail, I'm looking forward to listening to that story. But we're learning, and it's a learning curve. And the same way I'm telling you it's about the crop and the type of supply chain, in 5 years, probably we find a third parameter, or we reject the first one that I just told you. Yeah? That's the beauty of science.
Yeah, certainly. I agree that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Customization is important. Georgiana, we just heard from David the tool that they are using, Agrigenio or Agrigenio. Well, you work, as I mentioned in the introduction, in different projects at CropLife about the harmonization of digital platforms, precision agriculture technologies. And you certainly have access to other tools, right? And you have seen a broader scope of these solutions. Looking at them, what recent innovations in the area of traceability can you share with us that you have been seeing?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity, Ignacio and the team. You know, I think it's a really, really important thing. And yes, there's a lot of innovation, but listening to my fellow panelists, I think the one thing we have, everybody seems to have their own system when it comes to traceability. And I think what we haven't addressed is the fact that how do we build the trust of the consumer? Everybody's telling me my produce is the most, the freshest, the safest, the everything. Yes, you have a QR code. I'm going to challenge you on this one. You have a QR code, but all your QR code does as a consumer is takes me maybe to your website and tells me what you want me to know. That doesn't mean it's true. And I think this is where we have a challenge. How do we build the trust that what we put out there is what it really is? And this is the kind of challenge that we see. So I have to make a little correction. You presented me as the vice chair of AgriGuide. That was when I was with Adama. I used to work for a crop protection company, and then I was vice chair. Now I'm exclusively CropLife Europe, but still very involved in fact, doing just the AgriGuide project. So what CropLife Europe, which is a trade organization of all plant protection companies, BASF one of them as well, is we're very committed to sustainable farming. But to do that, for farmers to use plant protection products, there are a lot of stakeholders out there. Society, you and I want to be sure that the farmers, and like it or not, we have a really bad reputation about poisoning the environment because we're using chemical products. That's why all the biologicals and organics are coming out. But that is not the case. The reason why it's happening is because, again, like traceability, we do not have data-driven proof that farmers are using the product in a safe way. And I believe, and the first step to doing that is to start digitizing. So the EU Commission is very aware of that, very committed to that. And what they have come up now, we know, well, since 10 years already, that as of 1st of January 2026, they want farmers to start using what we call digital recording of their actions, yeah? I know in Spain you've got a very good database and you've got Fieldbook, which helps the farmers do that, but there is no standardization. Everybody's doing their own thing. Another regulation that's going to come up, and this is going to affect all of us, is that all new products, and they will vote, and it's a draft at the moment, but the direction, I think it's important to understand where the direction is going, is that they want all product labels, so all the chemical labels of plant protection products, to be digitized. And when they say digitized in the definition, it's not having a PDF file. What they want is a machine-readable label. And this is what AgriGuide of CropLife Europe is trying to do here. To digitize all labels, so like that barcode, a 2D matrix or a 1D matrix, if I were to scan it, I would go into the app of AgriGuide and I will see immediately that this is a product, this is the manufacturer, but more importantly, it's about the conditions of use. How do I use this product? What are the rules? What has been approved? What is the safe way to use it, right? And the beauty, I think when we do this is like the way GPS revolutionized the whole driving experience. Remember the days, like today, everywhere you go, your car's beeping every 2 minutes because you're either going above the speed limit or you're going too close to that thing. So the whole idea behind it is, if the farmer scans the product, or when he scans the product, and you get all that information of conditions of use based on your geolocation, oh, I am growing a certain crop. I only have a buffer zone. I'm not supposed to spray 3 meters close to that because maybe there's a water entrapment. My truck or my tractor cannot go more than 7 kilometers. What AgriGuide will then do is, these are your conditions of use. You can send it to the machine, to your tractor, and then what it gives you is an alert. Alert that says, you're about to reach the speed limit. There is a wind speed. You should not be doing that. But very importantly, it gives you the alert, like your GPS, but it will not stop your car. It will not do that. So you have a choice. And I think that is also important for the end user, for the farmer, is that, yes, you have those alerts, but you are still in control of what you're doing. And that is where I think the whole traceability comes in, because everything you do, because it's digitized, it is now data recorded. This is data-driven proof, which will then be a complement to what all of you are doing here in traceability, because it starts. And if it can be automated, it's a lot less headache. And I don't know if you could, but just to finish, the biggest challenge I think we have, with everybody having their own systems, I'm just talking EU 27, you have 24 languages. But even within a country, within Galicia and Valencia, every farmer is unique. And as long as we have all the standardizations, it'll be very, very difficult. And I think the road to success is really about harmonizing. Harmonizing how we do things, speaking the same language, and that's the first step. And then bringing in data privacy, because that's where the biggest challenge. Another challenge we will have is who owns the data.
One of the last things you said is about streamlining and cooperating to find that common language that will be in the benefit of all of them. And this also connects with something that David said earlier on, the cooperation. How are these efforts, what's your, in your experience, how are these cooperation efforts working? You also mentioned that the deadline is not that far, it's in the beginning of 2026. Exactly. So will we be ready?
We will be ready to accommodate at least the basics, if we put it. What we are doing is, no one industry can do it on its own. Yes, the crop protection companies, here in Spain is GlobalG.A.P, but all the CropLife companies, we are working, but we need to work with the stakeholders. So we speak a lot with SEMA, for example, so the agricultural, European agricultural machinery for agriculture. We speak a lot with the authorities, because you do need the authorities on board. They need to understand the challenges, what's possible, what's not possible. So yes, it can happen, and we can make it, but it has to be a collaborative effort. All the stakeholders need to work together, not least the farmers who need to agree. Okay, because the first thing you get is Big Brother watching me. What is all this record keeping? They don't want that. And then we need to show the value in that. What is the value in it for each stakeholder? But we do need to start speaking the same language. And I think digitization, doing everything, and this is why we're here at Data Agri, is that common language that we can have when you start to do that. And even the machines can read,
Okay. You mentioned the authorities. And I would like to go back to you, Javier. There is legislation on traceability. Set by the authorities, and it's a dual question. On the one hand, is the legislation challenging in any way in regards to traceability? And how different it is from other second-party or third-party controls on traceability that you also have to go through?
Okay. In the different steps of our activity, we control the traceability with the legal requirement. It's a legal requirement, but we have another, for example, GlobalG.A.P certification in the field that we must demonstrate the traceability of the product. In the industrial part, we have IFS certificate and we have an audit every year in every site. And you must demonstrate the traceability, but there are a lot of customers that want to be sure with the traceability, and they have their own certification of quality in the field, like GlobalG.A.P Plus, or in the industry, and they also do several traceability exercises every year to have a very robust traceability model to be sure that we are doing the things okay. Yes, it's not only the legal, it's the customer, all the people are worried about the traceability.
And sometimes this demand on the traceability system can go quite high. In a product like yours, lettuce is considered a high-risk product because regularly is involved in food safety crisis. So there's a lot of focus put on food safety and traceability there. So I do understand that in your case also the expectations your customers have on your own controls are very high, right?
Yes, the controls are very high and the expectations are very high because it's a risky product. You must be sure of your food safety. Yes, in the food industry is a key point. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I see you nodding, Julian. I know berries are in the same category. Do you agree with that? That in this type of products, also traceability perhaps is even a bit more important, no? And also the urgency, for example, or the rapidness that you need to trace back a product. You agree with Javier?
Absolutely. I mean, in our case, you can imagine that also one of the things that are making berries a little bit complex, with the exception of blueberries, is really the shelf life. It's very short. And also you need to think that the way that the consumer, let me say, eat the berry, it's sometimes without washing, without, doing this kind of things. So we need to make sure that all operations are as much clean, let's say, as possible. And just to go back to the legal thing, I believe that what we need is harmonization. As also we see that many back and forth exportations, importations, fruits coming from different parts of the world that should, in my opinion, have the same requirements, but sometimes not, and so on. So we need to work for this standardization. I fully agree on that. And yeah, another point that I want to underline here, it's how important it's also to give to the customer, or to inform the customer which varieties they are consuming. So what I see in our current legislation is a lack of protection of the customer, as sometimes even it's not obliged, let me say, by the legislation to put the variety. And to me, really, it's one of the points that we need to be more exigent. So yeah, there is a long way. I mean, in my opinion, that's personal opinion, not Plana's opinion, of course, but in my opinion, we have more systems, more controlling, and more data, and the legislation, it's like 5 or 10 years ago. So we need to really harmonize what we are able to do with what are the requirements. So that's a personal opinion here.
A question for you too, because you work in several steps of the supply chain, no? Production, distribution. Have you identified gaps in traceability along the supply chain that you think this should be done a bit better, or there's room for improvement here? You talked now about harmonization, you talked about legislation falling a bit short in some instances. Have you identified some of these gaps?
No, please go ahead.
I don't have identified.
No, I mean, I think really we have a good control of, in general, and the customer can be really, let me say, safe on what they are consuming. So, and it's very exigent, in my opinion, today. I don't know what is happening, but really, also when they are that kind of crisis, for example, taking the strawberry crisis that everybody, we spoke some months ago, and we really were able to really identify where were the problem very fast, and to really stop and control. So I don't think there is gaps. I think there is room for improvement, but not really gaps, honestly.
It's very important to have a strong system, and when there is a problem, you must identify at the moment where is the reference in the shop, in the transport, to do a recall or withdrawal, or very, very quickly, but with a very good and robust traceability system. It's very important. We are doing fresh product with 1 week of shelf life, and if you have one problem, you must react immediately. Okay. And you must work with the customer to do this recall or withdrawal or something like this.
Yes. Very, very often several steps are involved in the supply chain, and they need to be very, very well connected to be able to trace back to the very origin of the product. David, you work with IT technology, and in your first answers, you are talking about continuous learning on the traceability and the different types of traceability systems we are talking about. Speaking of learning, how do you think that artificial intelligence or machine learning tools can play a role in traceability or in solutions like the one you work with?
It's a very hot topic currently. And to deploy something, you need to understand it first, right? So when we open the box of decision support systems, right? So how can our farmers, our growers, optimize the nutritional levels of the crops, the fertilization, the crop protection application? Initially, 20 years ago, there was one model, which was the empirical model, right? Mm-hmm. So the empirical model is based on statistical extrapolation, just to give you an idea, right? Then we got more, let's say, into the topic, and we started developing mechanistic models. Yeah? So you take part of this empirism that was out there in the literature, and you bring in a biological modeling component, yeah? Like the phenological type of development that you could have in the crop. And now we're facing the third level, which you were mentioning, right? So how do we implement machine learning / artificial intelligence algorithms in it? Look, the difference here is that we don't understand that yet, right? So the same way the empirical modeling we could do for ages, yeah? So that was clear, and the mechanistic one as well, and yielding incremental effects, potentially improving the whole picture. AI is not yet there. And you know, one of the first applications of AI beyond medical diagnosis was weather forecasting, mm-hmm. right? So, and this is like opening the Pandora box. Who is capable of forecasting the weather beyond the 6th or the 7th day? Probably only God is capable of saying that, right? If at all. So seeing those first evidences of distrust, yeah, or not that much aligned success, I could be careful, not reluctant, mm-hmm. careful in the implementation of AI. I think we should do it on use cases where we already have calculated meaningful risks. But in the case of, for instance, right, that's our domain, our garden, of the application of crop protection products, I would be really careful. Yeah, so I wouldn't go that hard in the beginning.
So it's a bit early stages. It's a bit too soon, too early to optimize an implementation of artificial intelligence in these tools. But do you think it is something that will be useful in the future? And together with that, what other trends have you seen that in technology development that can also support?
Also a very philosophical or metaphysical question. And I connected to, and this is, as Julian said, this is not BSF, this is my own scientific research or academic research, right? So I study robots in general, right? And robots in the beginning were supposed to substitute humans in certain types of delivering, yeah? Coming to your point and the implementation of AI, what I personally realized with my colleagues at the university is that it's not an either-or topic of research, it's both type of approach, right? So we talk about artificial intelligence. Where is the human intelligence in all of that, right? So there should be a combination, and that's why more and more we're starting to talk about cobotic teams or hybrid teams, right? In which you have the cognizant power of AI or machine learning in general, and then you have the human touch to harmonize that and give it a special element, right, of empirical or experimental understanding. The deployment of AI is not a question of it's going to happen, it's already happening. Yeah? So we talked about Agrigenio and Sustain in the beginning, right, the two offerings we put into the market. We have competitors that are doing already AI deployment. And this is really brave, yeah, to put it in a nice term. Why? Because if you miss it, you can lose the whole crop, the whole harvest, right? And for high-value crops like the ones we're talking here, fruits, veggies, berries, imagine about that, right? It's not the right place to play around. What I see the implementation of AI and machine learning is in what the colleague here mentioned before, interoperability of systems. So every time we need to integrate our own understanding of the tool with another tool, we develop an API, yeah? And colleagues here are very familiar with that term. It's pretty much an interface to connect two systems that do not speak the same language, yeah? This could be further enhanced with machine learning and artificial intelligence learning, because this is a computer-to-computer communication, right? So there is no human involvement in that one. That I would love to see a use case, and the one that I would put on the table is the famous digital field book. Yeah, so I think this is a fantastic case. Yeah, so the colleague of for instance, BASF, Hispatec, Isagri, anybody who's playing in the Spanish market, have the opportunity to really interoperate, yeah, which is something that we ask for, but we don't get yet. Yeah, so that would be my wish. Maybe the Santa Claus or the Three Wise Men bring it to me, maybe not, but it would be a great progress for the industry.
I think, well, 2 notes on the last part. These APIs, these interfaces, are more and more valuable because, well, as we were talking before, no, the consumers want information. And information is being generated at different steps of the supply chain. And different steps also use different tools. And it's very important that those tools can communicate to bring the information along the supply chain that it can reach the consumer. On the other note, you're saying about artificial intelligence and how daring some companies were into introducing it, and how you believe that it's not to be blindly trusted yet. That also it is important to have that human overview on the delivery of that information. And I would like to introduce with you, Georgiana, some, I don't know how controversial topic, but some other hot topic that was introduced a couple of years ago, which is the blockchain.
Everybody starts to laugh.
We have talked about it, and blockchain has been discussed about, seen or sold as a tool for traceability purposes. We have not seen it introduced in the agricultural industry. Have you had contact in your work with blockchain solutions, and what's your opinion about how fit blockchain is for the industry?
Not directly in our industry in the blockchain. I mean, you will have completely 2 different fields of how people see blockchain. One of it is like, forget about it, because it's so energy consuming. Everything is out there. Once it's there, you know how the thinkers is a whole peer-to-peer thing. I'm more with David on IA. I think machine learning is where it'll be much more practical and possible, because at the end of the day, machine learning is all about garbage in, garbage out. Okay, it's data. So as long as you put in good data and you teach it, you can get a really great output. And then you need that human touch to go. Coming back to blockchain, for the agricultural, for traceability, personally, I don't think we don't have the time, because we could talk hours about this. But yeah, in a nutshell, I think it will be extremely challenging, because the energy already to use it, just to do that, to run all of that. And then you're thinking, what are you going to do actually? Because for each and every contract that you have, at every process, everything has to be written, the whole community has to agree to it, it's all out there, you can't change it. At which point do you use it for traceability? Yeah. And I think that we haven't come. And we are so, at least in the farming industry, because it's more an art than a science, we're still babies, when it comes to using technology in an effective way. I think it'll take us time, but we want to. And then just like going, for some countries, from having no phones to using a smartphone, that evolution will come very quickly. But for me, I come back again to what I said, it's all about building trust. Yeah. Especially in this industry. When we can do that, and I just want to say, I had the opportunity to meet with a lot of people. This is Data Agri. We have some of the best brains here when it comes to managing data, managing technology. You've got all the consumers, and companies that are doing great stuff. Here together, you could come up with some really, really cool stuff for traceability. And I think we should take on that challenge, because going to conferences, everybody speaks, it's fantastic, and then we all go back to our daily jobs and everything's forgotten. Why don't we do something? We keep talking about it. Stop talking, start doing something, have action. Right. So in summary, on the blockchain thing, I will summarize it. It's a bit too complex. Probably not for now. Not a priority.
To be useful for traceability of food products, or not food products, but fruit and vegetables. time flies. It's 10 minutes to the time when we should be finishing. I would like to give the opportunity to the people here to make some questions to the panelists.
Okay. I think we've gone over the time.
We started later.
Oh.
Actually, we have 50 minutes, right? Yeah. So I will close with one question to all of you. What are the biggest benefits of implementing a proper traceability system in each of your cases? Starting with you, Javier.
For the point of view, the consumer is the transparency and the security. No? For the point of view, the company is the transparency, is the confidence, but it helps us a lot because you have installed a system for traceability, but for all the rest of the things, to control the labors, the consumes, the people, the harvesting, and is a system that helps us a lot in our activity. You control everything. You have machines connected, you have a very good control of the traceability, but a very good control of the activity. You are more efficient with robust systems to traceability or to control all the systems.
Thank you very much, Javier. Julian?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I would add that the first thing is, of course, transparency and trust. But second, to us, I think it's a way of also solving problems fast. I mean, taking in consideration, for example, when we are serving all the plants for the strawberry production, we have to serve like a million of plants, like 200 million plants in 4 weeks. We did that during September and October, just to bring from, let me say, the production from the nurseries to the production areas. And you can imagine how fast you have to react when you have to deliver in 4 weeks, 200 million plants. And traceability is a way of really detect where the problem is. As my colleague said, we measure different parameters in the transport, in the field, also in the production. And to me, has a very good component on identifying and, let's say, doing this continuous improvement that all the companies should do. So.
As you were talking about the 200 million plants, I was trying to figure it out in my mind. I was about to explode. Sounds really complex.
You can imagine, yeah.
David?
So on the consumer side, I agree with the colleagues. Yeah? So it's about transparency and access to information, but I watch out here not to overwhelm. Yeah? So we need to be careful with the information we put out there. Not putting putting everything is a mistake. Putting the right thing is the correct approach. Yeah? Into doing that. And then for producers, for processors, companies in general, you open a different way of doing businesses. Yeah? So you stop selling products, right, or even giving services. You start conglomerating solutions that are holistic. Yeah? And not only that, yeah, customers will like you more in the value chain, but you will also be able to capitalize on additional premiums. Yeah? And I think this is also a very good motivator for those extreme capitalists that are out there to invest on sustainability.
Okay. Thank you, David. Georgiana?
I think for plant protection product companies, the big opportunity and benefit here is the ability to minimize counterfeit products that are in the market. You know, once you have traceability, you know that's the right thing because that is happening and it is growing. You get to also optimize the safe use of products and you're recording that.
That's also in the benefit of producers, not only of the manufacturers.
Absolutely. And then you have, to get that most up-to-date information, like for you, the same thing. By doing this with traceability, you can actually get the most up-to-date information real time, like you were saying earlier today. We don't even need to do audits anymore. If every minute, because it's real, is being audited because we're getting that, you don't need to go in through and do that. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for traceability, for sure. Yeah, and we need it. It's not just that. I think we really do need this for the industry.
Thank you, Georgiana. I would like to thank you all for sharing this time with us, and I would like you to thank the panelists also for their open conversation and very insightful information that they have shared with us. Thank you.